Welcome back to another episode of the Young Guides Podcast. I'm Keaton, and this is...
I'm Kyle.
But first, a word from our partners.
First up, we want to talk about Heather's Choice. If you go to the Heather's Choice website and use our code TheYoungGuides15 at checkout, you can get yourself 15% off site-wide. So go check them out. We got packaroons for snacks. We got dinners. We got breakfasts. We got a bunch of new recipes coming out to you guys. So head on over to heatherschoice.com at checkout. Use our code TheYoungGuides15 and get you guys something for your next outdoor adventure.
Awesome. For our next partner, we have Lucky Bug Lures, home of the Bingo Bug, Zombie Max, Fusion Extreme, Lucky Plug, F-Bomb, and Pike Bomb. They take conventional lures and change them up a little bit, and it helps your fishing and your luck on the water. Go check them out. www.luckybuglures.com. Go get yours today.
All right. Up next, we have Northern Knits. Emily up here in Anchorage knits wool hats and distributes them through her social media platforms. You can find her on Facebook or on Instagram. Her Instagram account is northern._.knits. And you can see some of the hats that she has in stock and order from there, or you can kind of get an idea of what you want, message her, and you can set something up to have a specific pattern or color scheme that you want in your hat. Keaton and I both have one. Well, I actually have several. Keep you very warm. They're very fashionable. They look great. They feel great. You'll look awesome if you wear one. So check her out, Northern Knits.
Next up, we have a friend, Matt, at Alaska Rod Co. He just released a new lineup of rods for the 2022 season. They have a lineup of 8 freshwater spinning rods with actions and power for anglers chasing big, aggressive fish. With lengths ranging from 6 foot to 9 foot, there are plenty of options for various applications and style. In a world full of mass-produced rods, Alaska Rod Co. makes sure that rods and services provide what other brands cannot. Rods built and tested in Alaska.
Matt also is coming out with a new line of fly rods. Alaska Rod Co. fly rods are built for harsh environments while maintaining the utmost level of craftsmanship. Right now, Alaska Rod Co. is 9-foot fly rods ranging from 5 weights to 8 weights. 10-foot single-hand rods, switch, and spare rods will be available late winter or spring. There's enough rod companies out there trying to build the next lightest and flashy rod. Alaska Rod Co. is here to build you a rod you can pass down generations. Fishing means many things to many different people. Alaska Rod Co. is honored to build you the ultimate tool that connects you to that meaning.
If you want to learn a little bit more about Alaska Rod Company, go back and check our previous podcast. We asked him several questions about his rods, his warranties. He does a great job at explaining everything and covering everything about his company. Also, if you have questions, you can always DM him or DM us and we can get you going in the right direction. So, Alaska Rod Co.
Finally, we want to say thank you for listening to another episode of the Young Guides podcast. If you can, head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review and a rating. It helps us know that we're doing this for the right reasons, and you guys are giving us some great feedback already. You can also head over to Spotify. They now have a rating feature on the podcast there. So if you could let us know how we're doing, that would be great. It also helps helps us spread the word through you. But makes us pop up on the feeds wherever you listen to podcasts a lot more if you give us a great rating and a great review. You can also head to our website and contact us through that form if there's anything that you think we should know about, if you want to be on our show, or if there's something that we need to work on. You can also find us on Instagram, and same thing, give us some feedback, drop us a message, and we will get back to you.
With Instagram, make sure to also check our story. We before we do our podcast on Thursdays, we always have an option for you guys to ask questions to the people coming on our podcast. And we post a lot of stuff that we like to get viewers and people following us involved. So if you want to head on over, give us a follow and start asking questions and join in on the fun on our Instagram page.
Without further ado, here's the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of the Young Guides Podcast. I'm Keaton, and this is...
I'm Kyle. And on today's episode, we have on Rich. Rich, I apologize. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Connelly?
Connelly.
My bad. So we have Rich Connelly on today. Rich owns the Evening Hats Fly Shop on the Yakima River in Ellensburg, Washington. Rich, super cool dude. Rich, he really helped me out. Like we were just talking before we started recording, when I first started guiding, Rich spent a lot of time in Rich's boat. Rich taught me how to row around the Yakima River, taught me a lot about what I know about guiding now. So I've always been really appreciative of Rich and what he's done for me. And buying the fly shop, I was in the fly shop damn near every day during the guide season, picking up bugs and picking Rich's brain and telling him about all these fish that he never got to see anymore. So, and then Keaton's kind of in the same boat now, going in, getting information from Rich and buying bugs. And in my opinion, the best fly shop in Ellensburg. So if you ever are driving through, stop on by. He's right off the freeway and pick up some bugs. But with that, Rich, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, Rich,
and just to go back to your point for a second about learning, I appreciated you listening, because a lot of people don't listen as much anymore when you try to teach them.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And real quick, going back on that, I remember you actually saying that, like one of our first floats, you're like, oh, Kyle, it's nice that you're actually listening to the advice that I'm giving you. And that's always stuck with me. And then trying to teach clients and in other jobs and teaching somebody else, it's always nice, again, to have somebody who actually listens and applies the knowledge and doesn't just kind of shut you out.
You gotta be a sponge. I mean, you don't realize what information you have around you, and when someone's taking the time to take you out and show you the ropes, like Rich himself, you got to absorb as much as you can, because that's just going to make you better in the long run. So,
right, just how I absorb everything clients have to say, because you can learn from clients also when you're guiding. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice thing is that somebody always knows something you don't, so you might as well listen, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I think you could say that from new to very experienced clients. They always teach you something, informational. Yep. Maybe it's not about fishing; it's just about life. But
yeah.
Well, we kind of got rolling on that, but welcome to the podcast. Do you want to kick off and tell us a little bit about your background? Kind of how you got into fly fishing and when?
Yeah. So I started fishing when I was probably 3 years old. My mom's from Montana, so she taught me how to fish.
Awesome.
Been fishing there since the 70s. And how I got into fly fishing when I was 25, I went on a trip with a friend to Montana to just see his mom, and we did a little fishing, and we stopped by a convenience store, and they had a little tin of blue damsel flies on the counter, and they were 50 cents. And I was like, just grab a couple. So I grabbed a couple, and we went back to the river and we're fishing. We're spin fishing then. And I decided to tie one of those blue damsels on and just kind of put it in the current, let it float down. And there's about 5 fish later, I stood there and I was like, fly fishing. Maybe there's something to this. So I literally bought a rod the day I got back. And then, started guiding. So
how
I got into it was an accident. I kind of always made fun of fly fishermen up to that point. Just their waders, and there wasn't a lot of them around, but
mm-hmm.
But took to it pretty quick.
What was that? What was the learning curve like once you bought the rod and really started putting more effort into actually fly fishing?
So my first time I went up to the Snoqualmie, North Fork of the Snoqualmie River. And my first attempt at a cast, I casted my sunglasses right off my hat into the river. And my next 30 casts were either in the bridge or in the tree behind me. So it was a steep, but I knew right then I actually had like a cathartic moment at that time. I had tried to cast about 30, 40 times and unsuccessfully. But then I just stopped and I looked around, and I'd never done this since then or before. And I just yelled as loud as I could in my life. I was like, this is the fucking greatest thing I've ever done in my life. And I knew right then, after I said it, dude, something came over me, and I just knew fly fishing was going to take over my life. And yes, it has definitely changed everything.
That is awesome.
So up to that point, I didn't really have a purpose, kind of bouncing around with jobs, and this kind of gave me a purpose, kind of saved me, really.
Yeah,
so,
That's great.
So
how did you learn to cast like growing up? Because I mean, not during that time. Like, what was your like pathway? How did you learn? Did you have a mentor? Did you read books? Like,
I did read books, but early on, my girlfriend at the time booked a lodge on the Bitterroot. So we went there for 3 days, and we got a guide for 2 of those days, and his name was Jay Dixon. And we just became best friends from that point forward. And I'd just go over there about 10, 15 times a year and do guide trips with him and pay him, me and my girlfriend. And that was basically my guide school. And I basically learned a lot from him. So, which I still learn and still take guide trips with him to this day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So he was kind of my mentor right off the bat.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny when you look at his whole outfit of guiding. It's just like mine. I'm like his little brother.
Yeah.
Like with the dog, and I had my raft on my truck at one time. And it just, So he was my mentor for sure.
That's awesome.
And David Couch a little bit at Tight Lines Lodge out on the Bighorn.
Mm-hmm.
Went out there about 10 times, and he taught me a lot. Almost went out there to work for him at the time, but I couldn't. But yeah. Oh, and then just a lot of hours. I mean, so many hours on the river, just learning and almost dying here and there, and just a lot of hours on the river is what it takes.
For sure.
So put in those.
So are you a Washington native?
I was born in Lewiston, but mostly I grew up in Spokane. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But Washington, Idaho, Montana have kind of been the 3 states I've been in. So
that's awesome.
Gotcha. So how did you eventually get into guiding?
I just knew actually right when I started fishing that I wanted to guide, and within a year we were guiding. Me and buddy bought a Willie boat, drift boat, and together, and then we just started guiding, which I had drive-through coffee stands at the time, so I could advertise through there. So that just worked for myself. And it was interesting in the beginning. I remember our first guide trip was a lady from Virginia, and we had laid out a blanket as our table on the ground, like a picnic. I mean, I didn't know what to do. This sounds really weird now, but we would bring a pontoon with us, and at lunch we would switch. So I would guide either the first or second half of the day, and he would guide half the day. Oh. And I just think about that now. If you were to do that in a guide situation now, you'd probably, I don't know what would happen, but it would be awkward.
That would be hell awkward.
Maybe where are you going, man? Where are you going?
Exactly.
Some guys on a pontoon like 50 feet behind you the whole day, just rolling.
Right.
Awesome.
But my first actual shop job was actually the one down the street. So in an actual shop.
Yeah.
Setting.
Cool.
And early on, I also joined Orbis. So I was at the Orbis Bellevue store a lot. I mean, that's another person that really helped me was Rob, the manager at the time.
Yeah.
Taught me how to tie. I did tying lessons from him, and he taught me a lot too. So yeah. A lot of good mentors, and still learning every day, which I think is the best thing about fly fishing. You just learn and learn and never can learn enough.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So how did you find your way? You're in Spokane. It sounds like you're at the Orbis Bellevue a little bit. How did you find your way to settle down in Ellensburg, Washington?
So I moved from Spokane when I was 21 to Kirkland over on the west side, Seattle area. And first couple of years I wasn't really fishing much. And then in the mid 90s got back in, that's when we got into fly fishing. And and then just, came over here from the west side and was just here every weekend in the nice weather, getting out of the rain. And yeah, over here a lot. And then I moved from the west side to the Missoula area for 3 years. And then I moved to Ellensburg. Awesome. But I'd been coming to Ellensburg since 95. So, well, really all my life, because I haven't been back and forth Spokane to Seattle so much. But yeah. So love Ellensburg. It's cool.
It's a cool town.
Cool town.
So what, I mean, going to all these places and you fished all over, like I said, Idaho, Washington, Montana. What made you want to come and stay in Ellensburg on the Yakima?
The Yakima.
The Yakima.
I actually got that question a lot when I first moved here. Why would you leave the Bitterroot and all those other rivers around Missoula to be on the Yakima? But Yakima is where I started, and it's always first in my heart, and I love it, and I've stuck up for it for a lot of years from a lot of Montana guides that I know that just clown on it, and their clients. Yeah, because it's been known as a small fish fishery for many decades till now. Now it's a really great trout stream, but so the Yakima just drew me. I love it. It's just an awesome river, and that's awesome. What kind of drew me back.
Okay.
Plus, it wasn't like I mean, I go to Montana a lot, so it wasn't that big a deal to move back.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I'm never going back there, and been there since the early 70s, so it wasn't a big deal to move back.
To kind of like comment on, a lot of people shit on Washington State fisheries, but like if you know what you're looking for, there is some great fisheries in our state, but it's probably good that they don't get talked about as much, so.
Right. Exactly. You don't get the diversity of fishing you do just even in Montana as you do in Washington. I mean, we have everything you can even think of.
Yeah. I mean,
it is a nice variety, but it does get clowned on a lot, like you said. And I mean, maybe our steelhead and our salmon can be clowned on for what we've done to them, but trout fishing's pretty awesome.
And the change of scenery that we can do in our state, how you can go from like a desert all the way to like a rainforest in just a matter of hours, pretty unique. I think that's heavy in my heart, to be able to do that and fish, like you said, so many experiences here. You got all types of fishing in lakes, rivers, creeks, everywhere. So that's
all species, and
100%.
Yeah, you can't really catch sea on cutthroat in Montana.
No,
you can't. That'd be a rough one. Or steelhead.
Yeah. So where did your you kind of talked a little bit about your guiding. How did your guiding kick off on the Yakima, and then where did you bounce around, and then how did it lead to where you are now? Do you mind kind of going through that process?
Yeah, so I just I was on my own for the first 15 years I fished here. And then until I joined, moved here and then worked at a shop. Now I've worked at 3 different places, including with Kyle at Ellensburg. That's kind of when it took off, is when I started getting involved in shops and meeting more people. Because before it was just me and my buddy Scott. So we just didn't really interact with people that much. Just came over here to fish and then went back home. Yeah. So. Did I finish that whole question?
That was the start. How did like your guiding and all that lead into now? How did you get the connection to like get the evening hatch and run the evening hatch?
So I met Jack Mitchell first in 2000, early 2000 sometime. And then came to work for him in 2008 for a little bit, right after I sold my shops in Kirkland. And then started working for him again in 2017, I think, or 16 or 17. And when did you come on, Kyle?
18.
18. So it must have been 18. I started with Jack. And worked part-time for him for a couple of years because I did construction also. And then we just had a conversation about the shop and kind of went from there.
Yeah.
So, Matter of fact, it all kind of, I went down to the Klickitat to the ranch to guide for a couple months. And as soon as I got out of the car, the very first day I drove up, and within 2 minutes, he's like, so how would you think about buying the shop? And I was like, damn, dude, that's exactly what I was going to talk to you about when I was down here. And so, yeah, it just took off from there, and then bought it from actually Garth and Kaya.
Yeah. Cool.
After that, end of 2019. But I'd always wanted to own a shop. As soon as I got into fly fishing, I always thought it'd be cool to own a shop and talk fishing to people all day. I mean, that was kind of my dream thing. So it was kind of a cool deal. Really grateful that the opportunity came around. So, and Jack's a good guy. So
do you so you own the shop? Are you partners with Jack then in the Evening Hatch, or do you own the Evening Hatch, or how does that work?
So we're partners in the guide service, and then I own the shop. Gotcha. So he has all his other lodges and things going on. So he just doesn't have time to deal with the Yakima too much anymore.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I help out with that. So I help out with the guide service too, and take, bookings and payments and all that good stuff. So
yeah.
So
how has it been? Did you have like a clientele around the Evening Hatch when you took it over, or how's it been like also like building up the Evening Hatch and getting a bigger name, because it's like a coffee shop size shop, right? And a lot of people in the past years, you'd be like, oh, have you heard of the Evening Hatch? And they'd be like, the evening what? Kind of. And now you start to bring it up and people are like, oh yeah, Rich, I love Rich, the Evening Hatch. I'm hearing it more on the west side and stuff. So how's it been on that journey, and how have you like built your shop up and got to that?
So I didn't quite know that it was so, they spent a lot of the time on the coffee here, so they just didn't have too many employees that knew anything about fishing.
Yeah.
Like, you'd walk in and ask if you had any caddis, and when the girl says, what's a caddis? It can be kind of hard for people to come back to your fly shop, I would guess, if you don't kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
So the clientele was down when I bought it. And so it's been 2.5 years of, just being open, because it was closed a lot. It was never open. You can ask Kyle, it was closed a lot, and couldn't get bugged a lot. And so I've just been open every day, and just being myself, and we're down to earth fly shop. We're not anything else, and just down to earth, and just old boys that like to fish.
For sure. Well, and you
fish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you remodeled the fly shop. It's been a couple of years ago now too, and
put some new paint on her, and remodeled the inside, and it's looking good. I like it a lot.
Thank you. And I feel like in what you offer there at the shop is you don't have a big space, so you offer like what you need for the Yakima, right? You don't have a lot of stuff that you got stuff you can take on the west side and some of the other fisheries, but a lot of it's tailored to boom. You're here, you just got off I-90 and you're fishing the Yakima. And I think that's one of the awesome things is you have that little niche where you are there. Like that is the thing that you're grabbing there. It's not like you have all these big saltwater rods and you have all these other things you're going to take some other place far away. It's like, this is Rich at the Evening Hatch on the Yakima, and that's what you offer there at the store.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't offer anything that I wouldn't use. So I've spent, most of this time kind of dwindling down the flies to what works. Mm-hmm. And I do carry a nice selection of lake flies if you're going over the basin or Rocky Ford.
Yeah.
Some steelhead flies, bass. But mainly wrapped around the Yakima for sure. And what works.
I'm glad.
Being limited in space, I can't have too much fluff. So got to get what.
Well, I was going to say that you have a lot of flies. Just, I would put you on like, you are wrapped around the Yakima, but you have a really good selection of like Central Washington. Like you're not telling people, hey, let's go on this trip down to Florida for tarpon. It's, hey, like Kyle said, hey, like we're going to fish the Yakima this time of year. here's your selection, get out there, catch fish, you know. And you've never steered me wrong. I can vouch for that. So always has a great selection and always puts you in the right direction. So
heck yeah, that's our goal. It's our goal. Funny thing is, and Kyle can protest to this being a guide, is that, and 99% of our clients don't understand this, but we want to catch fish more than they do.
Yeah.
If that's possible. So when someone comes in and I want to sell them flies, I want them to catch fish. I mean, I don't want them to have a bad day. You know, I want them to catch fish. I mean, that's just, maybe it's guide DNA. I don't know, but it's just, you want them to catch fish probably more than they want to catch fish. If that's
they're coming over, enjoying the river.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, when you come in and you grab some flies, I'm hoping you catch 20 fish that day. I mean, that'd be awesome. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's out there for everyone.
A lot of people, they come into the fly shop, they're like, hey, I'm just going out today, I just wanted to get outside. And Rich is like, no, you're going to use this fly right here and this is going to catch you fish. He wants you out there. Guaranteed.
Exactly. And I'll tell you all the spots, you know, like the secret spot stuff. Nah, I'll just I let you know it all.
That's awesome.
Kind of how I roll.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you keep, like, speaking on bugs, you keep a lot of things up to date, right? Like you have like your stickers are like hot flies right now, and you'll have like some of your hot bugs. I know you'll have like up at the counter, or you'll have them lined out, and you'll get up out of your seat, you'll walk over, you'll talk to people about what bugs are going on. And one of the most important things I think too is that you're going out when you can, and you're fishing those bugs to see what's working from what you have. And I know I've sat at the counter with you, and we've gone through some of those catalogs of like, what do you think of this fly? What do you think of this fly? And you'll bring them, and then you distribute them not just to yourself and your guides, but you'll give some like, hey, Kyle, go try this fly out. Go try this. Or like, hey, Keaton, go try this. Stefan, go try this. And you're using that to your advantage in the fact that you're experimenting. You're having a lot of people go out and experiment because we're always on the water. And so we're going to be able to report back to you on what bugs work best. And then you're able to give that to customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows the water better than you guys. So you guides. So yeah. You guys were always my testers. Oh, I tied up something new. Yeah. Go try this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Different color.
Yeah.
That's the one thing too, Rich, and I've seen it not with only us, but like when people just come into your shop, you just conversate with them, and that puts you up on like a high, you know, in my opinion, on a higher level of fly selections and stuff, because you're not just asking us, but you're also asking like the good fishermen going out and wade fishing, or the people just going out in their drift boats and fishing. You're like, hey, what did you use? And you have such a great personality that people are like, hey, I use this. And then that just gives you more tools to your toolbox, right? You've got more people out there telling you what's working. So,
which just, in turn helps them, helps me help them catch more fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, always a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
Got to sponge it all up.
Yes. So do you mind talking a little bit about kind of what is some of the upsides to owning a fly shop?
Discount. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you definitely are in the know of what's going on.
Yeah.
So hearing from everybody and all the guides and all that. I don't know, upside. I think it's more of just, if you have the dream to own a fly shop, that's like one of your personal dreams. Sense. I don't know. It's a tough question to answer.
Yeah. No, I kind of just hit you on what are some of the, can you give us some like positive experiences, or let me put it this way, like say I was looking to come and buy a fly, I wanted to buy a fly shop. What's something that has like been great through your experience of owning a fly shop?
Well, first and foremost, just the people that come in and talk fishing, and the guides, and just the relationships, number one. And then, it isn't bad having a lot of things in here I can pick off of when I want to go guiding myself.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But I also get to be like, inventive and stuff, like coming up with like the eBird shirts or coming up with your own logos and, which I know Kyle loves doing that stuff. So he's kind of a master at it. So
Sure.
Have you felt like it's brought like a sense of small community around you, owning your own like brand, or kind of being like a place that people are looking forward to coming to visit?
Definitely. Which was when I first bought the shop, I was planning on actually moving it up the street here in Ellensburg, so I'd have a bigger place and just do some more community things, so I could get in the community more. Because that's definitely a you kind of you get to know what's going on in the community more and kind of get a relationship with other business owners and all that stuff's fun.
Cool.
Which when I had my coffee stands, I was all plugged in at that time with the same thing. And it was kind of the first thing after I sold those was like, I just felt cut off from the whole, I was like not in a community anymore. It was weird.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to get that back.
Yeah. And I want to point out too, Rich, that your shop is so welcoming. Like even Emily like comes down, and you and I and Emily would sit there for like hours and just talk, just hang out. And it's like we've talked to people on the podcast, we've had guests on where they're like, we go into a fly shop, especially women, they go into a fly shop, they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel welcomed. I've been in this shop a lot, just hanging out with you and people coming in and out. And it just, the atmosphere is so friendly and welcoming. And that is something I feel like you don't get from a lot of fly shops. So I think that's one thing you definitely have going there at the Evening Hats for sure. Yeah.
To that point, when I came back from that trip to buy my first fly rod, the first place I went to was, I went to Kaufman's in Bellevue. Told him that I wanted to be a guide and fly fish forever, and just, I'm all probably excited and stuff. And he spent 20 minutes trying to talk me out of all of it.
Really?
And I turned around and just walked out of the store. And that's when I drove down to the Orbis Bellevue store, and they were just like that, welcoming and, what do you need? And joined their Orbis guide program right away. And it was all, and never went back to Kaufman's again. So
I don't even think I don't think there's a Kaufman's around anymore.
I just never liked like the uppityness of fly fishing. Like, how there is that stigma around fly fishing, like it's just a bunch of uppity, snobby people doing it. Yeah. Which I encountered a lot when I got, through the years too, but there's way more better and cool people in the sport than there are those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just one of those people. I just like to, just invite anybody and everybody, and just everybody have a good time and go fishing. And
I do think, like, now hearing you describe that, I think you having that experience happen to you, you realize like, hey, I don't want this to happen to other people coming into my business, right? Like I think we've all can vouch for one time you're a new fisherman, you walk into somewhere, you're like, hey, I'm new to this. What should I be using? And they kind of laugh at you and they're like, figure it out. We all did, or something. They make some weird call.
And nobody's worse at that than gun shops. Gun shops, I feel like whenever you walk into one, you feel an inch tall and they're like 20 feet tall, because they know guns, supposedly.
Yeah.
And I just never was into that attitude. I'm a down to earth person that's, blue collar. So, I just never liked that attitude and things. So definitely not here.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons me and Kyle wanted to bring you on, because, like he was saying, there's places that aren't welcoming, but we want people to know about your shop. We want people to come shop with you and talk to you and see you, because if you want a great experience, you're going to find it at the Evening Hatch, right?
Right. 100%. 100%. Yep. And of course, all women are welcome. I've been trying, which I did. Kyle knows I had a couple of women working here, which I'm still trying to find. It's just really hard to find someone that's, a woman into fly fishing that isn't already in a career or something, that's doing something that wants to work in a fly shop. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But everybody should feel comfortable coming in here and I know how it's like being a beginner. And I actually get so excited for people that are beginning, because I remember what it was like to begin, and you're just you're just young, dumb, and full of cum and ready to go and fish everything, and you're excited. And I just love seeing that look come through the door.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh man, I know where you are, and that's an awesome place to be.
Yes.
And enjoy the ride. So.
Oh, for sure. And the level of stoke you bring too, Rich, when somebody comes in like that, I think that just fuels them even more.
I know I got goosebumps now just talking like that. So.
Awesome.
One thing you can't do with me is burn me out of fly fishing. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I know that your shoulder can speak to that, right, Rich?
That's fun. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So another thing too, I've been in the shop before, and I think I've been in the shop. I remember one day, I think you had like maybe 2 or 3 people during the time I was there come in asking for worms. And even people who are fishing bait and spinning rods, there's nothing wrong with that. And they're walking into a fly shop looking for worms. The way that you're like, no, we don't have worms, and we try this down the street, you're still welcoming to those people, even though they're in the wrong spot.
They're fishermen.
100%.
I mean, I'm not going to put a sign outside my door that says no bait here. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Like some other people, but yeah, I mean, they're just coming in to look for something. I mean, maybe I try to sell them like a brown worm that we tie fly fishing. I don't got any live ones, but I got some on a hook.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So how many people do you think you have coming through the doors of the shop, maybe during the off season, and then even during the season, like during the height of the fishing season on the Yakima?
So the off season for sure depends on how bad the off season is. So like this winter was a little bit colder and wasn't as fishy as last winter, where we stayed pretty busy all through the winter because it just wasn't cold.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets a little light in the off season, but the nice thing about the Yakima is it's pretty much an 11-month fishery. So you can fish it almost any day of the year, you know, barring cold and wind.
Mm-hmm.
But and then it gets pretty busy during the summer, being our main time, of course, you know, from May through October, summer and fall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I see, you know, anywhere from 10 to 30 people, you know, in a morning, getting shuttles, buying flies, just asking advice, what's going on.
Yeah.
But also being in front of a truck stop, I also get a lot of truckers in. So I have a whole clientele with truckers also. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I meet a lot of people from all over freaking United States, truckers. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah,
just because someone's coming in to looking for worms doesn't mean you need to be a jerk. I mean, I know I obviously point out that they can't fish those on the river and point them to Mattoon or one of these other ponds. So yeah, go have fun. You know, you're fishing, you're having fun. That's what it's all about.
For sure. And it doesn't hurt having a Shadow there either. She's
she's kind of my secret weapon for the last 11 years. So yeah.
You trained her to wander around the parking lot to lure people back to the shop, huh?
She's good at it too.
Yeah.
I didn't have to teach her anything. She just does it.
I love it because she'll just walk out into the parking lot. Some guy will be trying to get it like in a rush from the gas station, and she'll like walk as slow as she can in front of him. It's like she knows what she's doing, and she's just minding her own business, enjoying the sun.
Yeah, she's 11 years of guiding with me. She's about retired. She's getting there. She gets pretty sore on the floats now, but I'll tell you, she knows the Yakima River as well as anybody, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Buried skulls and bones and everything else all over this river. So
that's
yeah, she's a good dog. She's a good shop dog.
Oh, for sure. I just remember whenever we floated together, like it didn't matter where you were, it didn't matter what was going on. You had Shadow, you'd pull over to the bank, Shadow would hop out, and you basically just would like do your thing. And then right before you left, you'd be like, all right, Shadow. And then she just come running out of the trees, jump in the boat, just like that's where she's supposed to be. She had the system down. and that's awesome.
Yeah, she never got far from the boat for sure, which was nice. That's why I really turned her into a boat dog, because she was really clingy. A clingy dog is a good guide dog.
Yeah.
A clingy one, because they won't run 2 miles, like a lab would, or oh, I'm 2 miles away. Where am I?
Yep, exactly.
And clients are like, what?
I'll never forget the time that you and I and Eric put in at what is it there behind the fruit stand?
Gladmar, yeah.
Gladmar. And she, right before we hopped in the boat, she rolled in something dead. And got in the boat, and she just smelled like something dead all day long. I remember that.
That was the day I started keeping some like smelly stuff in the boat so I could cover that up if it happened.
Yeah.
But it only actually happened like 3 times. So.
But now you use it for yourself, right, Rich?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. You kind of mentioned earlier about, you're looking for a diverse workforce and stuff. And, could you elaborate a little bit on like someone you might look for to work for you? Are they going to start out in the shop? How much experience do you want to see? Do you want them guiding? Do you not want them guiding? You recreational, kind of all that stuff. Do you mind just kind of elaborating a little bit on that?
Yeah. Experience is great. I don't mind that at all. The hardest thing, I think, wherever your local fly shop is, the most questions that you seem to get, the flies part is easy because you know what the hatch is and what's working. The hard part seems to be that you really need to know, like, where, how long does it take to float from A to B, or how many miles is it from here to there? Can I do this in one day? So a little experience of the Yakima, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
So the people that are now starting this year for me, both fish the river, but they both are pretty new at it too. So they're not longtime veterans. One guy's retired, so really nice guy. Obviously, I'm looking for someone that's personable, nice, just being that's nice and personable. They're that way, not putting on a front when they're at work being that way.
Yeah.
They're just like that everywhere you go with them or know them or. So like with Ken, he was coming in here for a year before I even asked him if he wanted to work here, just because I wanted to get to know him and see how he was with people. And then I have no preference, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
As long as you know a little bit about fly fishing, and we can train the rest, So just got to be good people. Good, and that's what I did when I had my coffee shops. I didn't hire the best looking woman all the time, because what I found is most of them didn't have a lot of personality. So it wasn't about looks. I know as drive-through coffee stands in Seattle were a lot about looks. I mean, obviously they had strippers working. I mean, we can cut this part out, but just down to earth, personable people that are really that way in life.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good. I think that's how Keaton got his job, is for his looks, right, Keaton?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten many jobs for my looks either. So Keaton, so we're in the same boat. This good-looking Kyle kid, I don't know where he comes from.
Yeah. Keaton, you have a face for podcasts. I'm just saying.
I know. Everyone wants a little piece of this chin beard I got going. So no, it's fun. Yeah. And that's why I became a guide, because I can like put my hood up and I can put my hat down low and put on sunglasses. And most of the time the sun's like shining on my back. So when the client turns around to look at me, they can't see me, That's the upside to it.
Yeah. I think the reason you grow your beard out there, Keaton, when you trim it off so you can tie flies with it, right? Is that why you have it so long?
It's a never-ending supply. So if we ever hit a nuclear war or anything, I'm always ready to catch some fish, right?
Yep. You could tie a nice sculpin pattern with that beard pattern there.
That's what I'm saying. It's got some nice fluff to it. It's got a little wave in it. It's got that nice motion going. So,
right? Oh yeah.
Kyle, don't hate on it.
I'm not.
No, I know.
So Rich, this is probably I feel like this would be the most sensitive question, but also probably a question somebody wants to know about the most is, how much are you actually on the water? owning and running the shop?
So, well, I mean, it all depends for everybody. I mean, for me, like last year was tough because I couldn't find any employees to work. So I worked about 5 days off all year. So I was in the shop every day.
Yeah.
But this year I got 3 people that are going to work. So it's going to free me up to do more guiding again because I really miss the water. So I got, as you know, live vicariously through you guys all the time. So that are out water. So
Yeah.
This year is going to be different. I'm going to do more guides and get on the water more. And yeah.
Cool.
Definitely. Although I don't like to be away from the shop, but I also got to be out on the water to know what's going on too. So
Oh, for sure.
I'm in the shop. Plus it just makes you, better employee if you're out there having fun also.
Yeah.
Is that 3 people working like in the shop, not including new guides, or is that what you're talking about? Like 3 people?
Yeah. So the 3 people won't be guiding.
Gotcha.
Actually, one of them is a brand new guide. He just got his first boat. So that'll be cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Kyle, I just bought these things from Clackacraft that you mount right at the end of the rod tube where your 3 rods go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got goes across the whole thing. And then it's got, it goes down like this and then down like this and then down like this where your corks go in.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And it's got a rubber strap that goes on it now. So they won't fly out when you're driving or anything. So they're all.
Oh, that's sick.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, dude. That's pretty sweet.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, like $50 from Clackacraft.
Well, that's not bad. In terms of drift boats, that's not a bad price.
I know, right? Exactly. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, Keaton. Just one more thing on this is how many guides do you have now working for you?
So we have 7.
Gotcha.
7 guides, 8 including me. So we're pretty stacked up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So and we have a ton of experience. I mean, I think our newest guide is would have 6 years experience. Or no, sorry, I take that back. 4 years experience. So we're really veteran crew. We have guys that have been out here since, like Keith, who's been out here since the early 90s, me, the mid 90s. Russell grew up out here, been fishing it his whole life. So we just have a lot of guys that know the river really well.
That's awesome.
They take you on any stretch, doesn't matter, any time of the year, and get it done. So it's really nice.
Heck yeah.
I also like bringing up new guides. So like Cannon, he's one of our younger guides and he's been doing awesome. So
yeah.
I look for the same qualities in the guides as I would as a shop worker, someone working at the shop. So
cool.
Just good with people that like to guide and love fishing. I mean, that's if you're passionate about it, then you're going to like doing it.
Yeah.
For sure.
You guys. Yeah.
So, we kind of talked about your shop. You gave us a little rundown about what it's like to run a shop, the goods, the bads. And then let's get into talking about what we like to do. So can you tell us about your favorite times of the year to fish the Yakima, and maybe tell us about maybe some of your favorite hatches throughout the year that you really want to emphasize for people like looking to come fish the Yakima?
So start off with the Squalla hatch, which is starting now, which is just turned into a world-class hatch on this river. I mean, I've fished other Squalla hatches or other rivers, and this is as good as any of them now. I mean, it's just awesome. So we start out with that, and then we get into the March Browns, which then rolls over to your Mother's Day Caddis, which is another famous hatch out here in May. And then, that moves into salmon flies and summer stone flies, golden stones, which are pretty prevalent all through the summer. And then you start moving into the fall where you got hoppers and which are also good in the summer. But I would say my favorite hatch of the year, which Kyle probably knows what I'm going to say here, which is the crane fly.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the action that you get to dry fly fish with. We're all taught to dead drift our dry flies from day one. And here is you can't move it enough. So it's something different from the whole season. So crane fly is certainly one of my favorites, if not my favorite. The blue wing olive in the fall is a wonderful hatch. And then the Squalla Our salmon flies come a long way. I mean, fish are actually eating the dry flies now of salmon flies, which I think goes back to we just have more bigger fish in the river now. So there's just a lot more big meat eaters in there. So they're actually trading on the dry finally of the salmon fly. And then the golden stone, which you can fish for 4 months. You can fish a gold chubby or whatever it may be, a yellow dry fly through the summer here.
Yeah.
So but in September, when the crane fly, the summer stone, the hopper, and the start of October caddis all overlap for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To me, that's the bomb. That's my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it's skating. Everything's moving. So you're just skating the crap out of all the dry flies and the action, and the trout do things and hit the fly.
Yeah.
Unlike any other time of the year too. You know, they're trying to jump out of the air and land on it all the time, hitting it out of the air. So the trout are going bonkers too, which is cool.
Especially in the one thing on my first year of guiding is, and that was like shocking to me, is in the fall, how much the water drops, and you can actually almost see these fish coming from the bottom at your dry flies. So like before the client, even sees them coming up to eat, you're already like, oh, hold on, set right there. And they're like, how did you know that was coming? I was like, I could see this giant, shadow coming off the bottom after this big old October caddis or whatever, which is just that there's nothing. And
the last thing you want to do is tell them that it's coming, because then it usually will get off
like,
if you tell them it's coming.
They're like, what's going on?
Set too early.
What about?
But I would say March is the best month if you want to catch the biggest fish on a dry fly. I would say March month for the squallas.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have a lot of big fish that are coming up and feeding on those things coming out of winter. And it seems to be one 18-incher after another. So it's nice. That's a nice hatch.
If someone was coming over to fish it, where should they be landing their dry flies? Like in kind of what, like from the bank to the mid river, say you're fishing, where is your optimal zone? So
that also depends on the time of year. So summertime, you want to get it, 1 inch from the bank. You're even bouncing it off the bank. As the water retreats, then you're doing more ledges and drop-offs, wood piles. It's not so much of a bank.
Yeah.
So it all really depends on how the level of the water to what you're doing as far as how you're fishing the bank. Now, usually every time you go out on a guide trip, everybody wants to fish the bank. Even if it's 1 inch of water over there, they're just want to get that dang fly over to that bank.
Got a taste of the hopper.
It really all depends what you're doing, how many miles you're doing on the river. It just all depends on the time of year. Because as we know, the Yakima runs high in the summer, which is a godsend because it keeps it cooler than most rivers, which is awesome. So we do have that advantage. And I've always thought the Yakima was one of the best summer fisheries that I've ever fished. Like I usually just don't even go to Montana or Idaho in the summer because fishing just isn't that good in the hot months.
Yeah.
Over there because the water's warm, low. Whereas here we're high and it's cold, and the Yakima is just amazing in the summer. So it all depends on what time of year you're fishing.
Yeah.
So fall through winter, you won't have much bank fishing. You'll be fishing more off the bank, off your ledges, seam lines. And then once the water comes up, then your fish will start moving towards the bank for shelter. And then that's when they're going to make their summer home there. And then you're just pounding the banks.
Yeah. I got a question for you, and I don't think a lot of people ask it. What's the streamers looking like throughout the year?
Streamer fishing here is so good. I mean, it's really good. I mean, it's as good as anywhere I've done personally, especially after they dump the salmon smolt in. So May and June is just off the hook with streamers. Mm-hmm. We're putting them under bobbers. We're swinging them. I mean, there just isn't a time when you don't have a sparkle minnow on there. So streamer fishing, and then not to mention the Yakima is an amazing sculpin river. There's so many sculpins in this river. It's just an amazing sculpin fishery. So we just have a lot with the salmon fry and the sculpin. You can pretty much streamer fish any day of the year you want.
Yeah,
it's really nice. Yeah, a lot of guys come out here and do their swinging and spay in the winter because the river's low and fall and winter. So it's a really good time to come out if you're a wader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that one in because I don't think a lot of people talk about streamer fishing on the Yakima too much.
No, they don't. They
Yeah.
don't. It's epic. It's pretty awesome. I mean, Kyle knows that too. It can be dang good,
Oh yeah.
especially after the salmon smolt releases.
I don't know if I ever. I mean, I fished it after the salmon smolt when I was down there, but seeing as that's like the only food source that the trout eat up here during the spring, I want to take the knowledge that I have from doing it up here and take it back to the Yakima and be like, I don't think I knew what I was missing out on by not doing it on the Yakima.
Right. Yeah, it's a good time, and when the clients get on one on a streamer, as you know, it's just a really good time.
Oh heck yeah.
They usually experience something that they haven't experienced yet.
Exactly.
You know, just mainly because if you really think about it, you know, you got a dry fly or a nymph, like a nymph's floating by a trout, he's just going like, you know, opening his mouth and going blah, eating it, and then until you pull on it, he's not mad.
Yeah.
And so, but when they're hitting that streamer, they're already mad at it. They're mad before they hit it. They're mad when they hit it, and they're mad after they hit it. So I've seen more than one rod jerked out of clients' hands and once out of my hand from a streamer hit. So the tug is the drug.
Yeah.
That is.
I went to the Madison in the fall and we were doing streamer fishing, and I didn't realize how much I love streamer fishing. So when I got back, I was like, oh, we need to streamer fish the Yakima more and more and more.
It's addicting. It's addicting. It's after you get that first tug, it's all over with. It's like a shot to the vein. Yeah. I can't wait till you come back down. I want to see what you learned up there and see some streamer tricks, Kyle.
That's all. I'm not gonna lie. That besides beads, that's streamers are like all we fish. We fish dollies under an indicator and we fish woolly buggers under an indicator. That's about it.
Sweet.
I'll show you my box here when we're done. But I got purple and white dollies. I got black and olive. I got black and white, and I got olive and white. That's all I fish.
It's awesome.
and then just
lucky you.
Yep. And yeah.
Oh, great.
I love it. It's
streamer fishing under bobber, I think, is one of the funnest ways to fly fish, to be honest with you. There's just so much you can do with it. So much action and things you can do with it.
You can't fuck it up.
Yeah.
I think you were the person.
I mean, no matter what you do.
Exactly. I think you were the person.
Drag it as much as you want. I don't care if you mend, drag, do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. I think you were the one that told me, Rich, that you cannot fish a streamer wrong. Like there's absolutely no way you can fish a streamer wrong.
Nope. I don't think you can.
Mm-mm. So what is the best way for somebody to follow the Evening Hatch, whether that be social media? Yeah, I know you have an Instagram. What's your Instagram account there, Rich?
So it's the Evening Hatch Fly Shop, and I have it on Facebook and Instagram, which that's a good one because if the river's ever in doubt or if it goes up a little or there's some question, then I do a daily river report with a video. On my way into work, I'll stop and do a video on the river if there's questions about it. So like I'm doing now. But yeah, that or the eveninghatch.com is another way to go to our website, you know, for trips and whatnot, and see all the trips we do. We're all over the state of Washington and Alaska. So yeah, that's your best way through those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's can they call the shop directly?
And, I was going to say that you can call the shop anytime you want and ask for river. Dude, I'm up. I'll give you whatever info you want anytime you call. So
okay.
Call anytime.
Did you say you guys offer a shuttle service too?
Yep, we do the shuttles. Yep, we do shuttles.
Yeah. What do you like? How much advance do you like it for like a shuttle? If you're planning on doing
usually that morning. So usually you want to get a shuttle called in before 10.
Okay.
And that's a good to know that wherever you go. I mean, you go to Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, whatever, you're getting a shuttle. Usually a lot of them don't take you after 10, so because they get so booked up. So the earlier you can call, the better for a shuttle, because even our shuttle guys get so booked that we just can't take anymore.
Yeah.
So earlier the better.
Cool.
You know, call before even 9 is good.
Cool.
Yeah, we can hook you up wherever you get your truck, wherever you need to go.
Heck yeah. And you're doing that pretty much from Rosa all the way up the upper river?
Yeah. Yep. All the way to Ensign. Ensign to Rosa.
It's a lot of water.
It's 80 miles. Pure bliss.
What's
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask this, but if we need to cut it, we can. What's like the average cost of a shuttle for you guys?
So it depends on the length of the shuttle, but it's anywhere from $25 to $50.
Okay.
Like $50 one would be like the whole canyon, Ringer
Yeah.
to Rosa. But most of them are around $30.
Cool.
Gotcha.
That could go up $5 maybe with gas going up so much, but it's pretty much around $30 to $35 range.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know when you're running those shuttles, like they're putting their boat in and then they pull out at the end and their vehicle's waiting for them and they drive home. They don't realize you have to go from the shop to their car to the takeout. You have another car follow you there, and then you hop in that car once their car is down there and you drive back. So it's a lot of time. I mean, driving all the way to Rosa from Ellensburg is that's like an hour and a half trip, because you got to get in their car, then you drive, then you get out of your car, and then you hop in the other car. Like it's a pretty big chunk of time, and that's a lot of gas.
It takes about an hour and 20 minutes to do one Ringer to Rosa shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 40 minutes each way. So yeah, it does take time
For sure.
but it's worth it. I mean, get you on the river sooner.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
As
you
we
don't
all
have to worry about leaving your boat there and somebody stealing something out of your boat, or your boat going in a log jam.
To be honest with you, there's probably nothing I don't like worse than doing my own shuttle.
Yeah,
I'm kind of spoiled that way. I just don't. I like getting a shuttle.
for sure.
Because I'm just so excited to get on the dang river. The last thing I want to do is spend another hour doing the shuttle.
Exactly.
To get on the river and go fishing.
Exactly.
Burning daylight. So yeah, shuttle service is good.
Awesome. Well, Rich.
And then we also, if somebody comes over, like needs a pair of boots or a pair of waders or an extra rod, they forgot their rod for the day and they need to use one for the day. So we offer all that too. So, you come over, a lot of people come over and just forget things, like we all do. And, oh, I forgot my anchor today, or my net, or whatever it might be, something small, just swing in. If I got it, you can use it for the day and bring it back to me at the end of the day. So no problem there. Yeah.
Okay. Do you still offer the raft rental there?
Yep. We have a raft for rent, 13.5 foot. Got a new one for this season, so that's going to be nice.
Yeah.
So we got the raft rental. We don't rent a hard boat. Too chicken to rent a hard boat to anybody, but raft, yes. Yeah. It's got the fishing frame, so you can stand up and cast and do all that stuff. So.
And when you're renting a boat, do you just rent it to anyone, or do you like a little bit of you kind of knowing what they're doing?
Yes, I definitely vet more now after the incident of last year.
Yeah.
I actually, which I couldn't believe you could do this, but these two guys told me that they had experience and rented the raft, and they ended up flipping it twice in the farmlands. Wow. I don't know how you flip a raft twice in one day, but kudos to them for, I don't know if many people have done that before in one day.
Wow.
So I had to go in there. Me and Ryan Gosman had to go in there and get them, and I had to row the boat out because I wasn't allowed a minute. Because Nathan watched them flip twice. He was in there guiding. He called me up. He's like, "Did you rent the raft to these guys?" Yeah, they just flipped about 100 yards from down there where they put in. So yeah, it was. So I definitely vet and ask some questions. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the long.
That's good.
That's flipping boats is not any fun.
No.
And it's more, I have insurance and all that, so it's more for them is why I vet. I don't want them to get hurt.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we need out here.
For sure.
Plus I don't have a lawyer, so don't tell anybody.
When it's too, you don't want someone to just, I think people underestimate the power of rivers and like what things can do. And so if you hop in it and you don't know what you're doing, I mean, things can happen really quickly. You look away for, 2 seconds too long, and next thing you know, you got a boulder right in front of you, or you didn't see that boulder or tree or something. It just is like that. So it's good to have a little bit of a, system.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It goes from happy to not very happy really fast.
Yeah.
And, and the Yakima too is such an underestimated or overlooked river, because I don't even know if there's a class 1 on it anywhere. I don't know, maybe a class 1. So there's no rapids on the river. So everybody's like, oh, well, this is easy. But it's, it's the wood that kills you.
Yeah.
Rapids aren't normally what kill people. It's wood.
Yeah.
That's what usually gets people. So
yeah,
you never want to underestimate a river. Being afraid and that actually helps you. The fear is what should help you concentrate and dial in. So
yeah.
And I don't think people, as far as clients go, really realize how much you got their life in your hands that day either.
Yeah.
There's blah, 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 we're going down the river. But yeah, it can go from good to bad really fast, which they don't understand. So
one thing.
And I'm expecting Kyle dealing with more motor boats and jet boats and all that. It can even get a lot worse. So
yeah. I actually don't use very many motorized boats. So pretty much all we do is out of the raft. And
I heard you flipped the raft.
I did. That was
I heard you got flipped the raft and got Girardi, and I'm like, Kyle, welcome to Alaska, baby.
Wow, bless.
Yeah, that was one of our helicopter fly-in trips with the client, and I had this narrow gap I had to hit. I had to go between these 2 rocks, and I hit the pour over rock in the middle, and I didn't swing my stern. I started filling up with water, and then I was pinned on that rock, and then that current just grabbed my stern, flipped me 180 degrees, and flipped me back another 180 degrees, and I tacoed sideways around the log, and then it tacoed again over the log, and then I was in a log jam. Client and I threw everything out of the back of the boat. We're both up on the log jam. Luckily, we had another guide and 2 clients downriver, flagged them down. They rode across the river, walked the boat up, went over to us. We took 3 hours trying to get this thing off of this log. Couldn't get all of our gear back, but we couldn't get the thing off the log. Luckily, there was a cabin, like that's like the furthest cabin upriver on this stretch of river. It was across the river from us. There were people watching. The other guy was able to row across, get a chainsaw, row back across, and he had to cut the log that the boat was wrapped around because it was a bucket boat. There's no way we were getting that thing off unless he cut it, and he cut that thing off. It was like completely wrapped around. As soon as he cut it, it popped back into shape. It wasn't punctured or anything. Flipped downstream. We tied it off, threw the frame back on, and we were good to go.
Nice. That's awesome.
But it was scary. That was my first day rowing that section, and we were hitting some class 3s, and as high as the water came up the night before, they were pushing class 4s that day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of water push. It's a lot of water push. Oh my gosh.
My first ever day trip on that river, I got dropped off on the helicopter. I was with another guy. My first day ever. I was the first person to get dropped off, and I'm like, wow, I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. And when the clients get there, the other guy gets there, we put the rafts together, we start floating. I hit the first boulder garden. It's like right at the end of this beach where the helicopter lands. And I'm like dodging these rocks, and I'm freaking out because I don't know what's coming because I have never seen this river before. And the clients are like, oh man, you look like you know what you're doing. I'm sure you do this all the time. I'm like, oh yeah. I've rowed this stretch in my life. I know exactly what I'm doing. But I didn't tell him till the end of the day that was my first time ever rowing that river.
Oh, right. Yeah. Matter of fact, actually one of the greatest oaring lessons I've ever had was when we did a trip in 2004 to Alaska, and we did a 9-day float, and my other 2 buddies couldn't oar, so I ended up oaring the whole time. But we spent about 3 straight days in boulder gardens. And I really learned how to row those 3 days, like how to bounce the back of your boat off a rock to set it up for the next turn. And, just get that. And it was just 3 days of a rowing lesson. It was rad. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's like that. Oh shit. And you're holding the oars so hard and your adrenaline's going. So your arms like fall asleep and go numb and you're just trying to dodge rocks the whole way through. Yeah. Fun stuff.
Baby.
That's awesome.
And why do we all do this again?
Because there's nothing better than that.
Right. So I was having this conversation with Russ the other day, a couple weeks ago. And I think personally that the relationship between you and people that like us who love Mother Nature, as we call it, the outdoors, whatever you want to call it, it's a really sick and twisted relationship. It's like that girlfriend that you just, that you just know is bad for you, but you can't get, you want her so bad.
Yeah.
Like Mother Nature she can do whatever she wants to us, but we'll wake up the next day loving her, just like she never did anything to us again. We're out on the river. It's blowing 50 miles an hour and Kyle's getting wrapped around logs. I mean, what possesses a person to keep doing this?
Yeah.
It's like you have to be a little mental. I'm just saying we're all three a little, and the rest of the people that fish for a living are a little mental on the mental side, which I think is true because you have to be a little nuts to do this for a living, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Especially when you're getting up into Kyle's stuff, when he's doing more of that backcountry. I mean, it's like me and nature, and there's no one here to help me. It's just us. I mean, that's like what we know or what you know is the only thing that could save your life.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I actually like that part of it.
Yeah.
It's the Lewis and Clark in us, the adventure and seeing rivers for the first time and just, gripping your oar so tight your arms fall asleep.
For sure. I don't know if I ever told Keaton this story, but that same river that all the whitewater was on, we had another guy doing a multi-day float. One of our clients was on the shitter one morning, and he got bucked off the shitter by a bull moose in the morning.
No
way.
Yeah, like that. Like he had to like that moose almost trampled him to death, just sitting on the shitter by the side of the river.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Did he have to go to the hospital?
No, like the guy, like, I don't know the whole story 100%. That's about the time I stopped guiding last fall, but yeah, like it almost hit him, but like he had to like jump off of the shitter to get out of the way.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's a shitty morning.
That is a shitty morning. Not quite as shitty as getting giardia or getting another person's shit on my hands. That was an experience.
What's Girardia like?
Yeah, it sucks. It hit me on day 4 of a 9-day trip. So, yeah, it's
what's it like being sick, like food poisoning, sick and shitting everywhere, and just
For me, it was just like completely lost my appetite, abdominal cramps, like so painful. I'm basically like just curled up in a ball. Yeah, it sucked. I had to go on. I was on 10 days of a really, really strong antibiotic when I got home. Yeah, it was like I just so tired when I got home. I couldn't guide for a week when I got back because I couldn't even drive. Couldn't go anywhere. It was bad.
And you got it from water? Like water? Is that where you get it from?
Yeah, normally get it from water. I have no idea. Normally it takes a few days to show up in your system. So I had to have got it before I left. But yeah, usually you get it from bad water. I treat all my water, try to keep everything clean. But I think a lot of times, especially when you got all the pinks and the silvers and they're just splashing all over the place all day, probably got some splashed up in my mouth or maybe biting my line, cutting the hook or biting the fly off. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
Getting somebody else's shit on my hands, that probably didn't help either.
That's nasty.
There's some things we should just keep off this podcast. All right.
I told that story at work today. The guy I told it to really appreciated it.
That's awesome.
Gosh.
Well, Rich, is there anything else that you think we missed that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think we covered it all pretty good.
Yeah, this was awesome.
For sure.
It was a good time.
Well,
I really appreciate you guys having me out again. You know, it's awesome.
well, we're rolling.
My first podcast too. I've never done a podcast though.
Well, now people are going to know your name.
Sweet.
All 100 followers are going to know who you are. Which we respect them. All right. Thanks for giving us.
What do you mean? Follow. Come on, you got to have as many followers as Taylor Swift out there, don't you?
Oh yeah, we're close. We're
with the face like Keaton's.
Yeah. Face for a podcast.
You guys do an awesome job. Awesome job.
Appreciate it.
Right? I love the name of it too. But if you guys get much older, I don't know. We're gonna have to rename this podcast.
It's gonna be the middle-aged podcast, and then the old
right, yeah. The middle-agers podcast.
The Men and the Guides in Diapers podcast.
Right. Let me promise both of you that middle age is coming faster than you think.
Oh yeah.
I'm already feeling it.
Oh yeah, I bet.
All right, we're rolling into our favorite portion of our podcast. This is our rapid fire round. It's when we throw stuff at you and we don't give you a lot of time to think and you have to figure it out. So good luck. Kyle, kick it off.
All right. What is your favorite fish to catch on a fly rod?
Brown trout.
How are you fishing for them?
Streamers and streamers.
I love it. Nice. What is your dream destination to go fly fishing at? Or where is your dream destination?
Iceland for the Ice Age brown trout, the oldest brown trout on Earth.
That's awesome.
That's where I want to go.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
If you had two flies to fish on the Yakima for the rest of your life, what would they be?
A sculpzilla and a crane fly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You're headed out. You're headed out to either go out, fishing or out in the outdoors or let's just do like recreational, you're having fun. What's your favorite meal and your favorite drink while you're fishing?
I've always really liked a barbecue. So I like steak with the vegetable and some salad. I really like a good steak on a river. Oh, there's nothing better. Yeah. And then drink wise, an ice cold beer with it.
Nice.
Although when we're guiding, we can't have a beer, but
yeah. But when you're having
on the river and I'm guiding, water.
Oh,
as boring as it sounds.
Keep it hydrated,
especially when it's 114 out there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like water, caffeine, water, just to like keep me going a little bit.
Exactly.
All right, Rich. You're leaving the shop, or you're driving to the shop, meet clients, you're getting ready, you're trying to pump yourself up for the day. What are you listening to in the truck?
I'm listening to me some Mad Season. I'm listening to me some Mad Season.
Awesome.
Nice.
You're headed out the door. You're what?
That's definitely one of my favorite bands ever.
Nice.
But, you can't go wrong with a little Metallica or, something to jack you up.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
You're headed out the door to go guide. What's the first thing you're bringing with you?
On the guide trip?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what's the one thing that you're not going to leave without? The thing you're going to grab when you're headed out the door?
Sunglasses, which is my number one rule on my drift boat, that people wear glasses.
Yeah.
Yep, that's my number one rule because that's the only place a hook can do any harm on a body.
Yeah.
Rest of the body, if you hook, is just pain. If you hook your eye, it could, damage you forever. So definitely require a glass of some sort.
For sure.
Yeah. And then the second thing I'd probably grab is a banana. No, I'm just kidding.
You You need to figure out some way to incorporate a banana into your next evening hatch logo.
Right. Because I honestly, I don't have that theory of bananas. I've decided not to, abide by that one.
Yeah.
I don't abide by that superstition mainly because I heard why the banana, it kind of evolved into a bad luck thing, because back in the day when they were doing a lot of shipping, which they still do, but way back when, bananas carried a lot of insects and disease. So a lot of shippers didn't want to do bananas. So that's how it started. Then it's kind of morphed into this whole bad luck banana thing.
Huh.
But I've had some pretty good fishing days with bananas in the boat, so I don't know. It's all a personal thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Wait, I just want to add a quick story on real quick. I know we're in the questions, but my uncle, he was like, oh yeah, the bananas is bullshit, blah blah blah. One day he brings bananas on his boat and he's out fishing for pinks, and he's like, yeah, I thought it was bullshit. He's like, next thing I know, we're ripping up river and my boat just starts filling up with water. And he's like, and then we had a pink hooked on, and he's like, I had to turn my boat on and I had to run right to the bank. And then he's like, and it was a tidal part because they're fishing for salmon. So as the time's going by, he like calls me at work and I'm like, hey, I got to go. My uncle's down fishing here and the tide's coming up and it's filling his boat up. And by the time I got there, they're like pumping and bailing the water. And he's like, guess what? I'm never fucking bringing on the boat again. I was like, all right. Good to know.
Well, there you go.
So there's your opposing story, Rich.
Yeah. You've seen plenty of boats with the banana with the crossed out sticker.
Yeah.
Or no bananas on board, or
yeah.
They're good for carbs. I don't know.
Stop cramping.
Yeah, it's cramping things,
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
All right. What's something you wish you knew when you started guiding?
I wish I wouldn't have been so, I don't know, crazy in the beginning. Like maybe I don't know. That's a hard question there, buddy. I don't know. I have to get back to that one.
Sounds good. We'll ask you again.
Here's one. When I first got into fly fishing, the few people that owned hide boats that I would see out here were always pricks. So I said right there at the beginning, I'd never own a hide boat, because I didn't want to be part of that group. But now I've met quite a few cool people with hide boats. So.
Oh my god, man, that's cold, Rich.
It was true though.
So all those things that you said about my drift boat were lies.
No, see, like I said, now I know too many people with hides, so that's kind of under the bridge now. But back in the day when there was only like 3 boats out here, I mean, yeah. So
awesome.
And then I met John Lease, who owned a hide, and he's one of the coolest dudes of all time. So yeah.
We're not all bad, all right.
Yeah, it was more of a funny thing than anything, but.
Keaton, I'm pretty sure when your red hide pulls into Rich's parking lot, the customers quickly.
I like it.
Oh yeah, people are rolling up. Don't tell people the color of my boats. I don't want them to be asking me questions and stuff. If you see me, you'll probably like tell me to shut up because I'm trying to give you information as I'm like fishing with clients and I'm like, hey man, make sure you use the Pat Stonefly. It's working great today. And the guy's like, thanks.
Thanks, man.
I'm too nice. That's my problem.
Oh, that's classic.
All right. What's some advice that you want to give to a new person getting into fly fishing?
Biggest advice I would give is, like we had talked about in the beginning, is suck up all the knowledge you can and just learn, and just be excited, because it's an awesome time in the beginning. I mean, it's just everything's so new, just like it is with anything, I guess, that you learn new. But yeah, just hang in there. Don't get frustrated in the beginning, because there will be frustrating times. But one of the greatest things about fly fishing is, me personally, I think, is where it takes you. Just that simple fact of where fly fishing can take someone. I mean, look at Kyle now up in Alaska, and probably 5 years ago never thought he'd be Alaskan in life, but now he's living up there and working. So where fly fishing can take you is just, some of the most prettiest places on earth. So
yeah,
that's another thing I tell a lot of people that I take out guiding for the first time. Just, where it takes you alone is pretty awesome. So trout normally don't live, or fish don't normally live in ugly places. So yeah.
I could vouch for that. There's some ugly places over on the west side that I fished.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though.
They all got you know what? They all have their own ways of being beautiful if you look at it.
I
right?
mean, even a ditch with a trout in it could probably be pretty in some way.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah, Rich. Well, we appreciate your time and answering our questions, but we do have one more to round out this section, and that is, what is your favorite guide story or fishing story all around? Something that comes to mind, funny, embarrassing, scary, awesome.
Well, I do have a scary one. Pretty scary story of fishing. Well, many of them. Done some stupid shit on the river, but one of the I would say, gosh, so many of them, they just get jumbled. One of the trips that I miss doing a lot, which we used to do back when we started, was what we called a week on the creek, which was Rock Creek over in Montana. We go, pitch tents and make a big fortress, base camp for 10 days and fish the salmon fly hatch every year. And that was always an awesome time. But I'd say that Alaska trip would probably be my number one thing I've done. I mean, they just, drop you off on the seaplane and they say, see you, in 9 days, and don't get hurt on the first one. That's what he said. He's like, don't get hurt the first day. So, and that was just a great adventure. That was Lewis and Clark. It was just the three of us, no guide. So we had 9 days on the river. So yeah, that was probably the best.
That's awesome.
One of the, but there's just been, a lot of good ones.
Too many.
Yeah. A lot of scary moments, good moments, happy moments, saving other people on the river, and, just, you do it long enough and you're just really going to encounter all of it. So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, heck
all right.
yeah, Rich.
You ready to send it out, Kyle?
Yeah.
All right.
Go for it, dude.
Well, that was another episode of the Young Guides podcast. We just want to thank Rich for hopping on and, talking some knowledge. He's definitely a guy that's got a lot of it. He's been through so much fishing, life experience, and he runs a damn good shop in Ellensburg. I know multiple guides that use him, even though we might be competitors in some way, but Rich's family and me and Kyle's heart for sure. So when we asked him, and he said yes, we're thrilled by it. So thank you again, Rich, for coming on here, and it means the world to us. And with that said, thanks for listening. Make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find us on the youngguidespodcast.com, and you can find a little bit of bio about Rich and how to get in contact with him if you need a shuttle, or if you need to check out his website and book a trip with him, or just know where his shop's at. We'll have that information up there for you. You also can find at the Evening Hatch on Instagram. At the Evening Hatch Fly Shop on Instagram. So make sure to give him a follow. Check it out on Facebook and show some love. If you don't mind taking the time to go on to our Apple podcast and leaving us a review, giving us a rating, let us know if we're doing good or bad. We need both to make this podcast even better. We want to thank everyone for taking the time and listening to our podcast from past to the future. And I believe, Kyle, this is number 20, right?
Yeah, this is number 20.
Yeah. So cheers to 20. We're so thankful. And, from where we started with an idea in November to where we're at now, is it just, me and Kyle are stoked, and we love the feedback we're getting from people. So we cannot thank you guys enough. Kyle, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this?
Well, first off, I want to say I've never seen even though I guide for Ellensburg Angler, Rich's Evening Hatch. I've never seen us as competitors. I wouldn't use that terminology, but I do like what you said, Keaton. Is we're family. I mean, I've ran trips for Rich, and and I know that when Todd gets booked or when Rich gets booked, we work together. We're family. That's the best way to do it, I think, especially on the Yakima. You got a small section of river and you got a lot of people guiding on it. So I think the best way to do it is just to be river family, help each other out, help a brother out when you need to. So
yeah, and speaking of Todd, him and I are kind of I've been fishing here a long time, but still kind of the newbies on the block, if you would say, as far as guide services go and fly shop. And it's nice with Todd because Todd and I don't have all the baggage that comes with a lot of these guys out here that own the shops for a long time. They all hate each other. They don't work together. And I just never liked that. That's what I love about Todd and I, we just call like, hey man, I need a guide, or you need a guide, and it's all about helping each other out.
That's awesome.
For sure.
At the end of
Yeah, and I use competitor, but like I try to use it vaguely, right? Like like I said, we're more than competitors. We are like a family out there, which is really nice. And I think me and Kyle both can, talk about Rich and how he's helped us both get, through our guiding experience and really excelling and making us better guides. And, like I said, Kyle and Rich can talk for Kyle, and I can talk and say that I just absorbed as much knowledge as I could from Rich. I think Rich at one point was tired of me coming and asking what hatch was going on and like how I should fish it and where I should fish it. And he's like, this guy comes in every day and asks me the same question. But, eventually I got it. And between Todd and Rich and I'd hear these voices in my head as I'm traveling down the river, and Rich would be like, hey, make sure you fish this. And I'm like, hey, you guys want to cast right there? And next thing you know, we got a fish. So so thankful for that, and I think Kyle could vouch for that as well.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I know it. I just, it's just, that's what it's all about. You learn something, you want to give it back, to somebody else to learn. Right. So
Absolutely.
Just helping out. I love our relationships. It's awesome.
Yeah.
They were all like that around here. And, in my short time of guiding in Montana, it was 20 times worse. Matter of fact, that's where I came up with the saying, the days of our guides, after the soap opera, which is a t-shirt that I've always wanted to do that says days of our guides. Because we're out here to have fun, take people fishing, and we're not out here curing cancer or, Parkinson's or something. We're out here to give a person a good time. And if you're not happy doing it, then you just got to go do something else, because you need to love what you're doing in order to do it, because you're not going to become a millionaire doing it. You're not going to become rich doing it for the most part. And so you got to love what you do.
Yeah.
And I think when you love what you do, it just, bleeds through. And I've learned a ton of stuff from you guys too, because you'll go out for a day and you'll find something and you'll mention it to me, and I'll be like, not that I'm going to tell you that I didn't know that. I'll just put it back in the memory bank. Like, okay, I'm going to remember that. You know what I mean? So yeah, sponge.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thank you once again, Rich. We feel grateful. You're a hell of a statue to have on the Yakima. So make sure to check out the Evening Hatch Fly Shop. Get off. What exit is that, Rich?
That's 109.
109. Yeah. You'll find the truck stop. What's the truck stop called?
Flying J.
Flying J. Go find the Flying J. And he's right in that parking lot, and go talk to Rich and learn some knowledge from this guy. He's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. So, I think that's all we had tonight. And, I just want to thank you once again. Thanks for listening. And, once again, this was another episode of the Young Guides podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. Fish on.